since the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade, a lot of people in this country, especially women, have been feeling like their government doesn't represent them. And that can oftentimes lead to a lot of feelings of isolation and alienation, which is why I wanted to feature this next clip. I got really lucky today because I was watching the House Oversight hearing on abortion rights access, and Miss Tlaib came up, and whenever she comes up, I want to record because of her ability to be so poignant and to hold witnesses' feet to the fire, especially witnesses brought forward by the GOP, by Republicans. But this questioning of the witness before her was just so important for people to hear right now, especially, I think, women and young women in the United States, because it's the witness is a woman who suffered from a pregnancy that didn't go as planned, and so she is offering a firsthand perspective of being a woman and being impacted by this Roe v. Wade decision, and feeling as though, the government, it doesn't have her back.
Ms. Lay, I cannot thank you enough for providing your testimony today. But I don't know, as a woman in our country right now, I feel like we're not as obsessed with the children that are among us living in poverty, that are going to schools with, lead in the walls, where most of my schools right now don't even have access to clean water. Their fountains are shut down. I mean, why is abortion ban so dangerous for patients and families with stories like yours?
I appreciate the question, Representative. And that question reminds me that as I've sat here, when Representative Flood and other members who have now left the room so they can't hear this correction have sat here to use their 5 minutes to tell us about how eyelids are developed and fingerprints and heartbeats. It's demeaning and it's insulting to insinuate that that's what I need to hear to know that my son and that his life mattered. It's insulting to all pregnant people everywhere. The rhetoric and the sensationalization creates stigma and shame, and it's wrong. And it's really difficult to sit here and to hear that and then not actually be looked in the eye and asked about my experience, not being asked a single question while I have to sit here. And I have the privilege and honor of sitting here and representing so many people, my friends Karen and Whitney and Erica, who also had to say goodbye to babies before they ever held them in their arms. Mr. Higgins, your story was beautiful, and I share your grief as a parent. No one needs to be reminded of the sanctity of life. We need to be reminded that this is a nuanced, complex decision that is never going to be answered by a binary yes or no question or the amount of weeks that my ultrasound shows. We need to leave people alone to make these decisions for themselves and their families and the betterment of our communities.
Thank you, Ms. Lay. You deserve a lot more time. And I just want you to know, even though you may not have felt seen and heard here, I see and hear you. With that, I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, so obviously very emotional. Now I'm gonna, and Miss Lay held it together for as long as she could, but you can see here at the end of this clip, she begins to wipe away tears. And what makes it, even harder to watch is just the number of Republicans and the questions that they asked during this hearing, and the insensitivity that they displayed, and that they have displayed, since the whole debate around abortion has really surfaced. Miss Lay was exactly right there, right? It's not a simple binary yes or no question when it comes to anything really in regards to the sensitive topic of abortion. It is a very, very, very complicated and sensitive subject. And throughout this hearing, it was actually, it was enraging because you had these men, these Republican men sitting there and demanding that these witnesses give me a yes or no answer. And they would begin to say, you know, look, it's not a yes or no situation. The answer is a lot more complicated than yes or no. I want a yes or no, and wouldn't let these witnesses speak, including doctors, right? Give me a yes or no answer to a doctor, and the doctor is saying, look, that's not how it's going to go. And so she just didn't answer the question, and he could, because he wouldn't accept her answer, because that would require him to think, right? And it would push back against the Republicans who want to just your abortion, killing babies, right? When you have doctors coming on, women who, like Miss Lay said, never got to hold her child, coming on and telling you, well, look, no, it's a lot more complicated than that. That breaks down their argument, right? Because they have nothing on this abortion debate. They just need to paint Democrats as baby killers. That's it. And Tlaib actually brought up a really good point earlier. You know, hey, Republicans, like, where are you at when it comes to like hunger assistance for families, right? Oh, you care so much about these the lives that you're trying to save by preventing abortions, right? The unborn. But then as soon as those kids come out of the womb, it's, oh, pull your bootstraps up. Oh, you can't afford to eat? Well, that's too bad. You can't pay for your school lunch? Oh, that's too bad. Oh, you don't have health care? Oh, that's too bad. Oh, you have bone cancer. Oh, what are you going to do? So it stirs me up. But hearing women talk about abortion this way, in a sensitive way, reminds us that the majority of Americans who are out there respect the sanctity of life, like she was talking about. That the whole Republican nonsense about abortion is simply for politics, and it doesn't really represent who we are as a people. Americans are Miss Lay, right? Americans are Rashida Tlaib. That's who America is.